Good morning, students. Welcome to class. It's been a while. I hope you have finished your quiz from the last class. Please always ensure to assess your content and ensure to read your notes every time. Okay, in our last class, we discussed constitutions. We established that a constitution was or is a body of rules that set how the people of a state should behave. It's a body of rules that gives instructions on how people should conduct themselves in a state. We established that there were several types of constitutions. There were written constitutions, unwritten, rigid, as well as the flexible constitution. All of these constitutions exist to ensure that people can live together without unnecessary crisis. However, for this class, we'll be discussing a new topic. We'll be discussing the concept of a republic, or what we call a republican system of government. We have basic questions to answer. Number one, what is a republic? What are the features of a republic? How effective is a republican system? And then what are the differences between a republic and a monarchy? So let's get right into our class. A republic is a system, or a republican system rather, is a system of government where citizens have the powers to choose who governs them. In other words, these citizens, they have the right, the constitution has given them sufficient power to elect representatives who defend their interests in the state. For a republic, there is majority rule, there's freedom of speech, people have a right to express themselves. Another good thing about a republican system is the fact that it encourages a high level of popular participation, and then it is all encompassing. It ensures that people are well represented, the basic rights of the people are protected, and they are shielded from unnecessary dictatorship. It is not a system of a few. It is a system where the people take part in their governing process. Thus, they decide who governs them and how they are governed. When a state becomes a republic, it can make decisions on certain vital issues such as election matters, how to vote, when elections should be conducted, who should govern, and the electoral body. It also has the right to make other decisions. As an example is on issues of currency. For example, when Nigeria was still under British rule, we will even use the British shilling, we use British pound, we use the British shilling as for our postage stamp. But you see, when a country become independent, all of that changes. Nigeria became independent in 1960, and we became a republic in 1963. When we became a republic, we could now make decisions on our currency, we could make decisions on our issues of security. We stopped getting or taking instructions from the British Crown. In other words, we are now fully sovereign. And of course, you already know what sovereignty means. Even in your notes, you will find us, we have explained that sovereignty means the ability of a state to govern itself. So even on our currency, we now have our own naira note. We printed our currency, we made our own decisions, we handled our foreign affairs, and we handled them effectively. Now, apart from elections, apart from currency, we also now choose our leaders. These leaders were now in charge of our governing process. They now represented our interests. They made laws on our behalf, and these laws were eventually used to govern. Thus ensuring a system where there is no dictatorship and further encouraging popular participation. We have already explained that we are allowed to vote in a republican system, and that's one of the most interesting tenets of a republic. The fact that people get to question their government, they get to ask their government basic questions. So it's not a situation where one single person becomes a dictator. During Nigeria's Second Republic, it lasted from 1979 to 1983, and it had Alhaji Shehu Shagari as the president of the Second Republic. By 1983, this Second Republic had ended. Of course, a military coup happened that ended this Second Republic. The Third Republic was supposed to begin in 1992 with the popular June 12 election that saw the emergence of the man called MKO Abiola. He was supposed to be president, but because of the issues that marred the election, the country was thrown into a bit of a crisis. So that election did not happen and the republic was aborted. The first republic is believed to have started in 1999 and is on till today, headed by, as president, it is headed by President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, there are several differences between a republic and a monarchy. These differences are what we will need to explain for further clarification. One of the most vital differences that you notice, the most noticeable differences between a republic and a monarchy is the fact that in the monarchical system, the system is headed by a king or by a queen or by an emperor. It is headed by somebody who is of royal blood, and succession is hereditary. In other words, it's passed from father to son. It just remains in the family. But you see, for a republican system, it is headed by a democratically elected president. This president is elected and he stays in office for a fixed tenure of time, or for a fixed term of office. Of course, you know that in Nigeria it is first tenure is 4 years, or it comes for a second tenure, making it a total of 8 years. Another difference is the fact that in a republican system, there are representatives who now make laws on our behalf, as opposed to a monarchical system. I hope you had a good time listening to this class. There are basic questions I want you to answer for me. What are the other differences that you notice in a republican system? How effective has the Nigerian republican system been? I'll see you in the next class.